Hi everyone, this is Cristina.
And Carmen.
And this is another episode of Espooky Tales, the podcast for all things spooky and true crime now, apparently, because we keep covering one true crime case and one haunted case. So this is what we do now. Before we get to that, though, I do have a listener story. And if you have a story you want to send into the podcast, you can email spookytales@gmail.com. You can email... Oh my God, I did it again.
Say email twice.
Say email twice. Yeah. Okay. You can DM us on any of our socials. You can also call the number in the show notes. I don't know the number, but it's in there. You can see it. The voicemail might cut off like at 2 minutes. So if it's longer than that, you just need to call back again. Or, record your story and attach it to an email. That works too. And thanks to everyone who sent in their stories. This one was sent in via Instagram. I'm going to keep them anonymous. Okay. My fiance makes yearly trips out to West Texas to visit his grandpa and tios. There was this one day where one of his tios had invited him and his grandpa out to the ranch where he works at. The ranch is in a certified ghost town. Oh.
Certified?
Yeah, okay. This is legit. And the only people passing through there are mainly the ranch owners and Border Patrol. This ranch has been said to be haunted by a relative of the owner and by the Native Americans. This particular day, my fiance and his grandpa stayed late into the night, which my fiance's grandpa was not happy about because he likes to be home before sundown. As they approached the gate to the main road, my fiance had seen a white object on the side of the road, and in the blink of an eye, it grew. His grandpa noticed it too and was in disbelief. When they noticed it was a lechuza, it turned around and had the face of a woman.
Oh my God.
It quickly spread its wings, which my fiance recalls being big enough to hear the wings flap as it flew away. They have made multiple trips back to this ranch, but make it home before sundown every time and have not had another encounter. The end.
Them lechuzas, you gotta watch out.
Yeah, they're out there waiting to eat you.
They're in Texas, so...
That's where they live, yes. I just can't hear lechuza stories without thinking about that stupid episode of mine. Oh my God, where I'm like, this one is scary, and it was like the sluttiest scary story ever. Sluttiest and smuttiest, yes.
Yeah, that was funny.
Good times. Okay, well, I have a horrible case, a true crime case. Well, actually, which one? Who's reading which one? You want to do the haunted one?
Well, you sent me the ghost story, so...
That's true, huh? Okay, so... I guess I already decided who was doing what. All right. Well, which one should we do first?
I'll start off.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that.
Okay. So...
Oh, I should preface is that I did read this on another podcast years ago now. I doubt a lot of people heard it, so which is why we're doing it again, because it's good. It's a good one. And I can't remember it anyway, so it's going to be like I'm hearing it for the first time.
Okay, so this is a tale from Celaya, Guanajuato.
Ooh, pocha.
This is a tale from Celaya, Guanajuato.
Good job.
Thank you. So in the 1970s, a puppeteer who went by Capi, he held shows daily out of his house. He had 33 puppets, and the town loved him. That's too many puppets.
One too many. No.
Yeah. He had shows every day on the weekends, and the house was packed with kids, parents, grandparents, families. He had been doing this show for years now, and one night after a normal show, Capi put all of his puppets away just like he had been for years. He kept all 33 puppets in a giant wooden trunk in his living room. Then he went to bed like normal, like always. The next day when he woke up, he found two of his puppets, a boy puppet and a girl puppet, laying on his couch.
Scandalous.
What were these puppets up to?
Yeah, what were they doing?
How dare they without a chaperone just be next to each other like that?
Seriously.
Did they leave room for Jesus? I don't know. Anyway, he thought that maybe he didn't put them away in the first place, but it was weird because he usually did. It seemed like they got out on their own, but like anyone would, he decided to not think about it.
Yeah, naturally.
He decided to think that he had just forgotten to put them away. Like anybody would rationalize this, I think, like that.
And you know what? That's easy to justify as you're getting older, or me right now, because I forget everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you at any age.
Yeah.
So he went on with his day, and then it was nighttime again. He went to bed as he usually did, and then during his sleep, he heard the sound of tapping.
Ugh.
It's the same sound the puppets made when he made them dance on stage. I'm sorry, I can only think of Pinocchio.
Well, picture Pinocchio dancing. Tap, Tap, tap.
No, that's what I did picture. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, have we really seen other puppets? Well, there's Slappy from Goosebumps.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was also picturing him. So anyway, he heard this noise, but he was like, what the fuck? Because he wasn't making them dance. So what the hell? He decided to ignore it and he went back to bed. And then he woke up again and saw the same two puppets on the couch. But he knew this time he was like certain that he had put them away. And again, he put them away and he went on with his day. So the next morning is when he saw them. Anyway, whatever. It was nighttime. He was fast asleep. And then in the middle of the night, he heard the tapping again. And it was the same tapping as before, you know, the tapping sound that puppets make. This time he decided to glance at the door and he saw little shadows at the foot of the door. He was terrified and he got under his covers and began to pray. The next morning, he packed up all of his puppets. He said, fuck them puppets. And he took them to a priest so that he could bless them. He thought that the puppets were good after that. And there were no more problems with them. So he held another show at the house. So the house was packed as usual. And during the performance, while using his judge puppet, it began to rotate its head on its own. But the audience weren't freaked out because they had no idea this was not part of the show. But Capi knew that he was not moving the puppet that way.
Wow.
So then Capi said, fuck this, for good. No more blessing the puppets. The puppets obviously can't be blessed. They're possessed or something.
Puppet show canceled.
Forever, indefinitely. And so he buried the puppets and presumably never looked at them again. Then in 1992, Abigail Carreño Maldonado dug up the box of puppets, and one of the dolls, when she opened it, their head was rotating. Somehow these puppets ended up in the Celaya Museum, and the old man's house was abandoned after his death in 1996 and I guess remains abandoned
to this day.
Yeah.
Okay. And the puppets are still in the museum?
Are they?
Probably. I don't know. I think so. I think I've heard that. That's creepy. Puppets, moving puppets.
There's a museum of mummies there too.
In Celaya?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. I thought the mummy museum was in Guanajuato City.
I don't know, right? I know I Googled the puppets and it says Museum of Mummies Celaya.
Oh, and maybe it is the same museum. If you've been to this museum and there's puppets and mummies, let us know. I want to go to Mexico and like go to all the like places that we've talked about. In Guanajuato, there's La Casa de los Lamentos, which is like an old ass episode of ours. Then there's like La Casa de la Tía something, another haunted house. Then there's the Museum of Mummies. And apparently that's where these puppets are as well. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess we'll take a quick ad break before we get to my story.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, and we're back now. Yeah, that was a fast ad break.
Great ads.
I don't know what played. Anyway, all right, Carmen, I have a pretty terrible case for you.
Great.
Yeah, as per usual. This one takes place in Peru, and it's known as the Apostle of Death. That's like his name.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's not good.
Nope.
So, Pedro Pablo Nakada Ludeña was born Pedro Pablo Mesias Ludeña on February 28th, 1973 in Lima, Peru. He had a very difficult childhood. I will give trigger warnings here. Childhood abuse, sexual abuse, mental disorders, suicide, all that in his childhood. So his father was an alcoholic and his mother had an unknown mental disorder. It's suspected today to have been either she was schizophrenic or bipolar, but they still don't know which one. He just like something. Both parents beat him regularly and his siblings, all of them. He regularly witnessed his dad beating his mom. And then on top of that, his siblings also beat him up and bullied him. And then he was bullied in school.
God, couldn't catch a break anywhere.
Yeah, nowhere. His father died like at a young age, 4 or 5. It made his home life worse. Obviously, losing a parent does that already, right? But apparently his father was the one who would like stop his siblings from bullying him, beating him, things like that. So then once he was gone, there was no one left to do that. So like one incident that he talks about that ruined his childhood more so than others is that his sisters would put him in a dress and then lock him out of the house and like call him names from the window like La Negra Tomasa.
My God, what the hell?
Yeah, and then the street would all like laugh at him. They would all just stand there and laugh, like no one would help him.
Mom.
Yeah. And then, like I said, like at school, he would get beat up. His mom would beat him up, his siblings. He would like run away from home all the time. But then, you know, he's a small child. He couldn't survive on his own. So he'd go back, especially when he was like hungry and had no food. So yeah, there was no like nothing good, I guess, in his life. When he was 5, his brothers, for some reason, blamed him for killing the family dog. He swears that he never touched that dog. He never hurt the dog or anything, but they blamed him. And then as a punishment, they raped him.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
This is truly disgusting. And from that moment on, he blamed that incident for his hatred of gay people, which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So like misplaced anger, really. His brothers were the ones who did this.
Yeah.
On top of that, his oldest sister regularly sexually abused him.
I'm sorry. Like, this is horrible. And what happened to these children that they enacted such violence on each other and their sibling?
Yeah.
The parents, probably. I mean, sounds like they were physically abusive as a whole and then engaging in violence in front of the kids.
Yeah, just like the most dysfunctional a family could be, and the worst possible like childhood a person could endure, really.
Yeah.
As he grew up, his siblings kept blaming him for killing the dog, and that he liked to hurt animals, but he never had until like he just started to after they kept blaming him.
What is that? There's a phrase where someone tells you something so often that you end up doing it. There's like a phrase for that, and I can't think of it right now because I'm tired.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there is. Like self-fulfilling prophecy. There you go.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I forgot about that. But yeah, that's what he did. And he would do this whenever his mom would hurt him or his siblings. Then he would go out into the street, find a dog or cat and torture them. Horrible stuff.
Yeah.
You know, on top of all that, like mental illness, disorders, they ran in the family. His oldest sister, the one that was abusing him, was placed in a psychiatric hospital. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Another sister of his died by suicide. Another maternal aunt was placed in a psychiatric hospital. His own brother, Byron, was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Sadly, he was only diagnosed after he went on a 3-day killing spree in Japan.
Wow.
In 2015.
How did he get to Japan?
I don't know. I tried to find info.
I mean, I assume by flight, but like how, I am just curious as to why he was there.
Maybe a tourist visa? I'm not sure because, yeah, I couldn't find everything that I read about the case, just mentioned it, but I couldn't find more on it.
Interesting.
Very weird. Yeah. But you know what's also weird is that later Pedro also wanted to go to Japan. And like that's why he changed his name from his last name to Nadaka.
Oh.
But this was his brother went there after he wanted to. So I don't know. It was very weird.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
But you know, all this to say that just like a very messed up family life and like these, like obviously not everyone with these mental health issues, they go out and like do these things. But obviously when there's no support, when there's no treatment, when there's already like exposure to abuse and abusive situations, things are going to get worse, right? So, but that's not to say that, you know, everyone with these diagnoses are going to go out and do these things. That's just what happened in his family, and they all happen to have these types of diagnoses as well. So at 17, Pedro, he tried to join the Peruvian military. According to someone who knew him from his childhood, the newspaper said like childhood friend, but he had no friends.
Oh, probably one of his childhood bullies.
Yeah, probably. Pedro only joined the military to gain power and authority and to, quote, get rid of God's enemies. So,
okay.
Not good. Although I can think of a few people when I was in the military that were like...
Who joined the military for the same reasons?
Yeah, basically like, oh, I only joined to kill people. And I'm like, well, I joined because I wanted the GI Bill money.
You're like, oh my God, why am I here?
Yeah. Oh my God, what have I done? So yeah, don't thank a veteran for their service, okay? Anyway.
Because maybe they joined for that reason.
Seriously. But yeah, that's apparently why Pedro joined. And 2 months after enlisting, he was kicked out.
Hey, at least they caught him.
Yeah, there was like testing done. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and psychopathic tendencies. And they deemed him too dangerous to be in the military, and that he would be a danger to society if he were to be trained to like fight and learn weapons and all that. Which, yeah, I mean, he said he joined to get rid of God's enemies and for power. So he turned even more dark after he was kicked out, because this is, what he wanted. He contemplated killing himself after he was kicked out, but then he didn't do it. He instead turned to killing others. And so he was 17 at this point, and he claims that his first murder was at 17, but there's no records of this. There was no body ever found. So who knows? But that's what he says. And so years go by. This was like in the 90s when he tried to join when he's 17, and that didn't work out. He claims to have killed someone, but there was no one ever found. In 2005, it might have been a little before that, 2004, 2005, that's when he tried to go to Japan. He paid a Japanese citizen 800 soles, which is the money in Peru, to adopt him as an adult.
Interesting. He paid him how much? 700?
800 soles.
Oh, 800. Okay.
Which is today like 200 something dollars.
Okay.
I don't know if the price difference, if it was different, like the conversion or whatever back then, but he paid, that much money to try to have a Japanese citizen adopt him. Then he could get his papers and move to Japan. I'm wondering if that's what his brother did later.
Maybe.
Yeah, because his brother was there in 2015 and this is 2005. So I don't know. But something happened. It didn't work out. I read somewhere else, though, that paying a Japanese citizen to adopt someone is a thing that a lot of like criminals do in Peru to flee.
Really?
Yeah, that's what one source said.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to read up more on this Peru and Japan connection, because it sounds like there's something going on there that I'm not aware about. Yeah.
Right. That's what I thought too. Something is weird there that I don't know. But this fell through. I don't know what happened. I couldn't find anything. And it honestly seems like this was like the trigger for him, because all the murders that are known, all the bodies that were found happened after this.
So like maybe like that was the last straw. Like he said, like, oh, things never go my way. Life is unfair.
So his first known victim was 26-year-old Carlos Edilberto Merino Aguilar. Pedro was at El Chorrito de Chancay, I think is how you pronounce that. It's a beach in Peru. And he was there when he crossed paths with Carlos. And without warning, he just shot him in the abdomen and then took his money. And he claims to have killed Carlos because he thought Carlos was going to rob him. But he was the one who robbed Carlos. It doesn't make sense.
I don't think that we can make sense of anything this person says. Like nothing is gonna make sense.
Yeah. And this happened on January 1st, 2005. And then more than a year goes by before the next victim, which honestly seems like a long time for a serial killer.
Yeah.
More than a year later, May 31st, 2006, he came across 50-year-old Teresa Cortina Abad. He shot her twice in the head, and he claims to have shot her because she was smoking cigarettes.
This is just ridiculous. Like, just don't even offer an explanation. It's going to be that silly. Like,
yeah. And then 2 months later, so now this is quicker. This is like, it's happening faster.
Escalating.
Yeah, escalating. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that smart word.
Well, I am an educated Latina.
Yes, you have a degree, educated Latina TM.
I have 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Correction.
You're right. 2 months later, on July 20, 2006, he shot 44-year-old Walter Saldovar Osorio, again in the head. Walter, he made it to the hospital, but he died like moments later.
I mean, it's just awful. Like, just straight up shooting them in the head. Like,
yeah, like he's executing, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But this will become his MO. Like, the first person he shot was in the chest or abdomen, something like that.
Abdomen.
But then after that, all of them are in the head.
Wow.
And he claims to have killed Walter because he was a criminal.
Oh, he somehow had knowledge of this?
I don't know. Maybe he did like some stock. I don't know how he knew this. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, let's see. And then, so that was what was I? July. That was July 20th. So then a month later, not even less than a month later, August 8th, 2006. So like, what, 2 weeks?
When was the other one?
July 20th, 2006.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next one after that, August 8th, 2006.
Yeah, like about.
Yeah. The body of 30-year-old Gerardo Leonardo Cruz Libia was found in the bottom of a water well. So we don't know when they were actually killed. They were just found on August 8th, 2006. And he had been shot again in the head. Pablo claims to have killed Gerardo because apparently they were robbing people together. This was like their quote-unquote business. And Pedro told Gerardo he didn't want to do it anymore. And Gerardo threatened to like blackmail him because he was like, well, we've been stealing together. If you like stop doing this, I'll turn you in. We'll go to jail together. So he killed him.
Wow.
And then 10 days later, so like again, it's shortening this like time period.
Definitely escalating. Yeah.
10 days later, the body of 21-year-old Carlos Walter Tarazona Toledo was found. He again was found with a gunshot to the head, and Pedro claims to have killed him because he saw him doing drugs.
Leave people be. Let them smoke cigarettes. Let them steal. Let them use drugs.
Yeah, you're not. Who gave him the right to like decide this is wrong?
Yeah.
What do they say? The judge, executioner, and like
jury executioner. Yeah.
That's not a thing, right? You're not fucking Batman.
Batman is wrong.
Batman was wrong. Yeah.
Worst superhero out there.
100% agree. So that was on August 18th.
So just 10 days later is what you had said.
Yeah, 10 days later. So the next day after Carlos was found, there was another body found. This was 15-year-old Maria Veronica Tolentino Pajuelo, and she was again shot in the head. According to Pedro, he had gone to this like alley or whatever, this area that was known for how many people use drugs there. And he went there looking for people to kill. Maria had like walked up and he just shot her. And so according to him, he feels horrible about this because she was 15 and not a drug user. So she didn't deserve it, according to his own moral calculator.
This is one reason you don't go just shooting anybody, because one, you don't know what they have done or haven't done, and when you put that on yourself, like you're gonna get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah, which he did. But then he was like, but you know what, the ends justify the means, so like her death served a greater good.
Oh my god.
How? Like, no. Then it would be a couple months. Maybe he really did feel bad and he didn't go out to like kill, because it was 2 months before the next victim was found. This was November 18th, 2006. The body of Hugo Vilches Palomino was discovered, and he again was shot in the head. And Pedro had stolen his cell phone and CD player. Sony CD player. And the reason Pedro killed him, according to Pedro, all of this is according to him,
because he wanted his CD player.
That's the real reason. No, the reason he gave is because he wanted to sleep with Hugo's wife.
Hey, like this time he has no like supposed moral superiority for his crime. So
that's true.
Wow.
Yeah, that part is true. The next day, so they're getting like closer together. The next day, Widmar Jesus Munoz Villanueva was found dead, and Widmar was a cosmetologist. Pedro had heard rumors of Widmar being a sex worker, and according to his moral compass or whatever, this is like wrong. He needs to get rid of all sex workers because God told him to, right? So that includes Widmar. And again, he only heard rumors of this. So he went to the salon where Widmar worked and he asked for sex, and he would give him money for this, right? And so when Widmar pulled his pants down, Pedro shot him in the neck.
Oh my God.
And then stole his money.
Like how is it okay for you to steal and do all this other stuff? And besides the killing, of course, you know what I mean? But like,
of course. Well, because he in his head is justifying the killing.
Right. This is terrible.
It really is. So a few days after that, 3 other bodies were found. And like no one there, I couldn't find like the dates of when they were actually killed, just like whenever the bodies were found later. So 3 days after Widmar, 3 bodies were found together. This was 32-year-old Luis Enrique Cervantes, 24-year-old Pedro Omar Carrera, and 22-year-old Enoch Eliseo Felix Zorrilla. And so Pedro Nakada, Pedro, I don't know his last name. Fuck him. He has like 2 last names or 3. I don't even, whatever. He sucks. So he killed them because he wanted their taxi. I think is the real reason. But the reason that he like gave is because according to him, they were using their taxi to assault others. But he stole their taxi. About a week after that, a week and a half, December 10th, 2006, Nel Cajaleon Pajuelo was found dead, again shot in the head like the others, and Pedro had stolen his bike. And the next victims, they were found after Nel, so after the 10th of December, but before the 24th, but there was no date.
Okay.
So they were Nazario Julián Tamariz Perez, Didier Jesus Zapata Dulanto was with him. They were killed together. And Pedro came across them making love at an irrigation canal.
Leave them alone.
Yeah, leave them alone. Like, if they're unhoused and doing this, they were in a private location. But, like, the thing is that Pedro would go looking for these people to kill them.
He goes looking. Yeah, like he goes to like seedy locations to look for vulnerable people to kill.
Yeah, and because, you know, another group of people that he, quote unquote, needs to get rid of are homeless people, gay people, sex workers. Those were like what makes up the people that he killed. But yeah, like you said, vulnerable people. So he came across them in that irrigation canal, and he shot them both in the head, and then he stole their shoes and money, which was like $34, like not a lot of money between them. But it's like, oh, he can steal and he can kill, but like no one else can do anything, right? Then on December 24th, 2006, he killed Agustin Andres Maguiña and Luis Melgarejo Sáenz. He shot them both in the head, and he killed them because they were alcoholics.
Oh my God.
His final victim was 17-year-old Nicolás Tolentino Purisaca Gamboa. And this happened on December 27th, 2006. He shot him in the head because he was smoking drugs.
Wow.
Yeah. And these are his known victims. He claims to have killed at least 25 people, and that he was not wrong for committing these murders, that God told him to do this. He was doing God's work. He was doing this to clean the streets. And like I said earlier, but all of his victims were either sex workers, they were gay, or drug users, or a combination of all three. So yeah, it just, like, whenever you watch, you know, shows like Criminal Minds and stuff like that, there's always like a person that's like, they had a name for this type of serial killer that I don't remember.
Tell me why I'm looking that up right now.
Oh, you are? Yeah.
People are saying vigilante killer, but it has a name like on the different name they use on the show.
Yeah, like almost like a purifier or something.
And it's not angel of death, because that tends to be doctors and nurses.
Yeah, but he called himself the apostle of death, so... But yeah, he thought he was doing God's work, and he used a 9mm pistol for all of this, and he made like handmade rubber silencers from slippers whenever he went out killing. Like I don't know how many slippers he had.
I'm sorry, what? He did what?
He used a 9mm pistol for all the killing. But he made handmade rubber silencers with slippers.
Oh, it's slippers. Oh, wow. I only heard slippers because I was still looking up that name, that term. And then he does what now? And then that's why I asked.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, because like angel of death, like we were saying, is usually like a medical related, where they're like supposedly doing mercy killings.
I guess, would it be like mission oriented? But there's like
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's it, because he said he had a mission from God.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not unheard of, obviously. Like, it happens all the time. He was captured on the 28th of December in 2006. I'm not sure. I could not find anywhere, none of the articles in Spanish or in English, like, said why.
Like how he was captured?
Yeah. I don't know, like, how it came to be, but he was in a shootout with police at his workplace. Like, I don't know if they like investigated, they came up with him as a suspect and maybe went to arrest him, and then there was a shootout.
That's what I was gonna guess right now. Yeah, that's what I was gonna guess, that they did their investigation, and exactly what you just said is what I was about to repeat. That's unnecessary. You just said it. Okay, go on.
Oh my God. Yeah. So, but they caught him at the perfect time. It worked out for everyone, because he had been planning on blowing up a nightclub on New Year's.
That's so weird, because I feel like I never really hear of that much of a shift in like a way of killing. Yeah. No, you're right. It didn't make sense, but they found a grenade in his house that he was going to do it with. Wow.
And this is what he told them. But yeah, it's such a weird shift and escalation, I think, or like a difference in killing.
Yeah, unless like somehow he had gotten so like bored with his, and it's horrible, obviously, like
Yeah.
someone to even get to that point. But maybe he was like, this is not fun enough. Like I had to take it up a notch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly strange because then, yeah, the way he killed everyone was always like shooting them in the head, which does give off like execution vibes, which would make sense if he's like doing this as a mission from God, supposedly.
Yeah.
So then to shift to blowing up a nightclub is weird. It just like doesn't fit everything else he was doing at all.
But I guess if you thought about it from his point of view, you could argue that people in nightclubs are up to no good. They're, what is that word? Immoral,
Yeah, like dirty, according to him.
heathens.
Heathens, yeah. So yeah, then he would get more of them at the same time if he did it with that way. So yeah, I guess. Terrible, either way. He was tried, found guilty, and sentenced to death. And then like his punishment, the way he was going to be killed was a gunshot to the head, which like I didn't know they could just say,
Oh, wow.
we're gonna kill you the same way you've been killing victims. But that's what happened.
I've heard of places that do that.
Yeah, I didn't know. So he received this punishment. He had been determined to fit to stand trial. They said, you're actually not schizophrenic, even though you've received this diagnosis before. And instead they said that he had an antisocial personality disorder. He had no remorse. He felt justified in what he was doing.
I mean, he said that. Yeah.
Yeah, again and again. And so that was the sentence he received. He went to jail, but then like later, while he was waiting like for the death sentence to happen, to take place, he tried to kill himself. So then they like redid testing, I don't know what, psychiatric testing, and decided that he was actually unfit to stand trial and he was paranoid schizophrenic. And so instead, he was sentenced to life in prison instead of being killed, instead of a death sentence. And they did this because like the maximum sentence was 35 years to life, but like the 35 years were up and he would be out. And if you're young enough at the time of your crime, you can get out and keep killing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he said again and again, like if he was let out, he was going to continue his mission from God. So he's still in jail. They were like, we're not letting you out.
Sounds like the best option for everybody.
Yeah. That was the apostle of death.
Man.
Just messed up and
disturbing. Yeah.
Someday I'm gonna stop doing true crime and just go back to haunted stories.
Yeah, you've been on a true crime kick.
I just keep finding cases I didn't know happened, and I'm like, oh, this. I don't want to say like, oh, this is like, this sounds cool, obviously, but like, oh, this is interesting, and I didn't know it happened.
Yeah,
because we always hear the same ones, like.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer, like all the same ones.
Yeah, same old. I do think it's interesting to talk about the aspects of like child abuse, horrible childhoods that these type of killers have, mental health issues, how all of those things
coincide.
Yes, coincide.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also find it interesting the differences in like the judicial systems, like here how they decided that they were just gonna shoot him in the head. Like
I know they used to do that like years ago, probably like hundreds of years ago here.
Yeah. I need to stop saying yeah. Wow.
I was watching, because I had just posted something to Novelas con Cafecito, and then I was watching the reel because I got a little notification that said it was more watched than our usual reels or whatever. And then at the end of the whatever reel it was on Novelas con Cafecito, we both end by saying yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, damn, we do that too much.
We do. That's how you can tell that we're from California, I think.
Is that a Californian thing?
I heard somewhere. I don't know.
Like, do you say yeah a lot?
Yeah. Like, no, yeah. Like,
no,
you can have a full conversation of just yes, and you would understand each other.
Yeah.
So this word's going to get on my nerves now. For now. Then I'm going to go back to using it. Yeah. See. Anyway.
See.
Okay, so yeah, that brings us to the end of another depressing episode. Do you have any spooky recommendations?
Well, speaking of true crime, I started watching American Nightmare on Netflix. Have you heard of it?
I have, a little bit.
I don't know if you remember, because I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was And That's Why We Drink that covered it. Like, but I don't remember how long ago it was. Because as I was watching it, I was like, this sounds hella familiar. And then I realized that I had listened to a podcast about it. It's good. I like it so far. It's interesting.
Denise Huskins and Erin Quinn?
Yeah.
Huh, I do not remember this. Oh, wait. No, I do. Vaguely. Is this where they were accused of staging their kidnapping?
Yeah, and they actually were victims.
Yes.
If I'm remembering right, which I think I am.
That's right. Christine covered it on And That's No Aging.
Yeah. So yeah, I recognized it as I was watching it. What child is that?
Yes, my child has found me. He's about to knock over my light. Oh my God. Okay, well, I've lost my light, so I guess.
But yeah, that's it. I started watching that, and I'm on the third. I think it's only a 3-parter or something, 4 episodes maybe. So I'm like almost done with it. It's pretty interesting, pretty good. It's definitely more in depth than a podcast could be, and the victims are interviewed as part of it. So I really like that. So Denise Huskins and Aaron, I think his name was.
Yeah,
Aaron Quinn. So they're interviewed in the documentary.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to watch it. Someone left a comment on one of our episodes on Spotify saying we should check out 30 Coins on Max.
Some of us don't have Max.
You have my info.
Dude, I tried to log in like 2 times already and it doesn't work.
Oh, what?
I don't know what kind of shit you gave me. I don't know. What is the phrase we were saying before? I don't know. What in the shit you gave me?
Oh, from the Patreon episode?
Yeah.
I shit you not.
Oh, yeah. So I wasn't saying it right.
No, what the shit is what you said.
What in the shit did you give me? Just making things up.
I can't. Yeah, someone made a comment that we should check it out, and I have a problem because like new shows, like 2000, I don't know, 12 and up, it seems like new shows are 8 episodes per season, but every episode is an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And I can't commit to it.
It's like a movie.
Even though I will rewatch seasons of the same episode.
But that's like, they were like 40 something minutes, you know?
Yeah. Or even 20 something. Like, depending on the show. Plus, it's going to end. It has a final thing. But you know what happens to me a lot is I'll find a new show and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. And then there's like talks about a second season and then it never happens.
It's never renewed. Yeah. I hate that.
And then I feel personally betrayed.
Because then you never find out what's going to happen. Just like with the Midnight Club.
Yeah. Los Espookies.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah. So yeah, every time like I'm afraid to commit to a new show.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I don't know if it's going to get canceled. I don't know if it's going to finish. But I will try. Maybe check out 30 Coins. I have been listening to a podcast in Spanish called Criminal Perfil, I think is what it's called. It's a true crime podcast. Because I listened to the episode about the person we just talked about. And they have Uriel from Relatos de la Noche.
Really?
They have him reading like parts of like the story basically. And I think everyone knows by now that
you love his voice. Yeah.
Yes, that I'm obsessed with his voice. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we can end here. Carmen, do you have anything to plug?
Yes. So if you enjoy listening to me and Cristina, we have 2 other podcasts. Historias Unknown, where we talk about Latin American history, stories about resistance, power, colonialism, etc. Good stuff. We also have Novelas con Cafecito, a rewatch podcast of Teresa. And we also have a few other things that we've watched, like Selena, this Netflix series. Had a lot of fun talking shit about that. And we're introduced a new segment, Chronically Online con Cafecito, where we talk shit about the internet chisme and whatnot. And that's going to become its own podcast once we finish rewatching Teresa, which we're almost done.
Yes, and my child is here. I'm going to keep my camera off for this part. Carmen, if you want to say bye for me.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And remember, don't go to puppet shows.
Nice callback. All right. And then just stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Bye, everyone.
Bye.